Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Municipality of Monroeville Zoning Hearing Board meeting for Wednesday, September 2nd, 2020. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and stay standing for a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Sharon, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Rosapel?
Here.
Mr. Griziak?
Here.
Mr. DiAugustino?
Here.
Mr. Dice?
Here.
Mr. Weldon?
Here.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion for the minutes from the last meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I will second that motion.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Under old business, Paul, if you would, please.
20-12-A, number 1 Cochran/Excel Sign Group. Applicant requests a variance from section 307.12E of the Monroeville zoning ordinance number 1443 as amended to install a sign that will exceed the total maximum allowable number of signs and square footage of signage on one property. The property is located at 4520 William Penn Highway, tax parcel 977-J380-A in the C2 Business Commercial Zoning District.
Thank you. The party present here tonight for Cochran, would you come forward, please? Have you signed in yet, sir? Please sign in the book and give the secretary your name.
My name's Bill Whitehead with Excel Sign Group.
Will you be the only one speaking? on
I
behalf?
will.
Okay.
Raise your right hand, please. You swear the testimony you're about to give to the board this evening shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Present your case.
We're here this evening to ask for approval to remove one existing Cadillac monolith sign and install another one over on Route 22 side. I think everybody has the package that was sent 2 months ago, last month. Basically, do you guys still have a?
Put it on the center of the
put it in
table,
the
there,
middle.
a little tape mark.
On the X.
Did you find that, Jared? Spin that around 180.
Very good.
That's the existing sign currently in front of the Cadillac building on Cochran's property. That building, I don't know what they're going to do with it, but they've since moved the Cadillac portion down to the GM building, so it's going to be all under one roof. Like dealerships, Cadillac says that they have to have the monument, the sign on their property, along with GMC has to have a sign on their property as well. So this sign is replacing what you just saw on the screen. Little different configuration, no stonework at the bottom, same size, same square footage. That's pretty much about it in a nutshell.
Static sign, no LED changeable.
No changeable, no nothing. It is internally illuminated. Like I said, it's the same square footage as the one we're removing. It's just going over to the GMC portion. We will be removing, there is a sign on top of the hill. If you can zoom in on this in circle, there is a sign that currently states Buick, GMC, and Cadillac. Cadillac will come off of that sign and it'll just say Buick, GMC. So, questions or?
Paul, do you have anything?
Nothing else.
Nothing? Any board members have anything?
No.
Anybody in the audience wish to come forward?
Any neighbors, any other car dealerships against it?
No correspondence in opposition or,
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the variance?
I second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you,
you.
guys. Appreciate it.
Under new business, Paul?
Item 20-15-A, Frank Dodson. Applicant requests a variance from section 207.3 and 207.3A minimum side and rear yard requirements for accessory structures of the Monroeville zoning ordinance number 1443 as amended for the location of an existing shed that encroaches approximately 8 feet into the required 10-foot side and rear yards for accessory structures. The property is located at 3661 Northern Pike, tax parcel 638F-106 in the R2 Single Family Residential Zoning District.
Thank you. Is the applicant present?
Yes.
Please come forward. Have you signed in yet?
I have.
Go ahead, sign in.
Gary, it's all in the bottom.
I found it,
They did the reverse order.
yeah.
You state your name for the secretary, please.
Frank Dodson.
Would you raise your right hand? You swear the testimony you're about to give this board this evening shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Present your case.
I have a shed that's existing. It's been up for 15-plus years. The whole reason for this was one of your council people was driving by and saw that my neighbor had a shed, a fence that was currently 10 feet plus, painted an odd color. So when he presented him with this, and Paul went out and talked to him, immediately he started backtracking, saying, what about this? What about the neighbor? What about this? Ironically, his shed is not within 10 feet. It's 8 feet.
Okay, well, would like to hear your case.
Well,
tonight. Go
that's
ahead.
it. That's,
Okay. So you want the variance for a shed that's already been there
yeah,
for a while?
this has been up for many, many years.
Okay.
Is there,
Anything on this, Paul?
No, it's an existing shed. There's been an encroachment for years. Nobody's really had a problem until recently. I went out and looked at the site, talked to Mr. Dodson. He agreed to apply for a variance. I don't really see any issues with it.
Okay. Any board members?
I don't have any issues with it.
Anybody in the audience need to come forward? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second,
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 thank you.
Thanks.
Good luck to you, sir. Okay, Paul.
All right, number 2, 20-16-A, Nicholas Davis. Applicant requests a variance from section 210 fences of the Monroeville zoning ordinance number 1443 as amended to construct a 6-foot-tall solid fence in the front yard of the property that faces Northern Pike. The property address is 101 West Patty Lane, tax parcel 978-H-167 in the R2 Single Family Residential Zoning District.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant present?
Yes, sir.
Come forward, please. Would you sign in, please?
Yes, sir, I did on that one.
Okay. Would you give the secretary your name?
Nicholas J. Davis.
Thank you.
Would you raise your right hand, please? You swear the testimony you're about to give this board shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do. I gave the papers a couple months ago. Just what I didn't know at the time that my property that lines Northern Pike is considered a front yard. So that's why we're here now. I wanted to put up a privacy fence. I have a young kid, a dog, so I just want to make sure, not only for my safety, other people's safety, come around Northern Pike. Northern Pike is a very, very dangerous road. I'm sure you guys drive it up a lot. The fence would be for not only my safety, but everybody else's safety. We've had a couple people on Northern Pike by my property. He has run in my yard. His dog has been in my yard. So I do want to keep that out as well.
You're right on the corner.
Yes, sir. At the light.
The car's coming down, their headlights and everything go straight into your yard?
Yes, sir.
Your house? Okay. Just want to make sure where you're at.
No problem.
Paul, anything on this?
No, this is a true hardship. It's a corner lot. He has 2 front yards. We approve these types of variances frequently.
How close to Northern Pike? What's the setback from Northern Pike before the fence begins?
So you have a little hill there, roughly about 18 feet.
And the style of the fence, please?
It's going to be a wooden fence,
Okay.
6-foot wooden fence.
Solid, any visibility through the yard, to the
No,
yard?
sir.
Okay.
It's gonna be stained and everything, painted?
Yeah, eventually. You have to put it up and you have to wait, like, I
Right.
believe 10 months or something, then
Right,
you can
well,
stain it, yes.
Okay.
I don't remember if I asked, is there anybody in the audience that needs to come forward? Okay, seeing no one, I'll entertain a motion.
Yes, just ask Jim if anything from any of the neighbors, any
No,
correspondence?
No correspondence.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I second.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries, sir.
Good luck, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Paul?
Item 3, 20-17-A, KDP William Penn LLC. Applicant requests a variance from Table 201C, permitted uses, conditional uses, yard and area requirements of the Monroeville zoning ordinance number 1443 as amended, to construct a retail building that will encroach approximately 5 feet into the required 15-foot side yard setback. The property address is 3985 William Penn Highway, tax parcel 743-G-70 in the C2 Business Commercial Zoning District.
Okay, is the applicant present? Come forward, please, sign in.
Yep.
State your name for the secretary.
Steve Panko, P-A-N-K-O.
Would you raise your right hand, please? You swear the testimony you're about to give to this board this evening shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, would you go in front of one of the microphones? There you go.
And then I have Bob Latrance.
Is he going to
He's also-
testify also?
Actually, this will be the next one, sorry. Just this next one.
Next one, okay.
Yep.
Hey, Steve, do you want to use that drawing down there? You can put that up on the table to point at.
Okay. If you're all familiar with the Zacades piece parcel,
Lay it flat on the table.
Put it right down on the
right
table.
here?
They'll
Facing
they'll-
you.
Just
they'll
like
know
this
in
is
the
kind of
camera for you.
nifty.
And then give Jared a second to find that with the camera.
Does it work?
Okay, you can
Patrick.
adjust that, twist it a little bit.
I'm sorry?
Can you,
Joey,
you can zoom in a little bit and then use, yeah, shift it around.
all right.
That's probably good.
Okay. So if you're familiar with the Zacades piece, he's been filling it in out there. It's been a while. And actually, I've been doing this for 24 years. I've never seen anything like that, so.
I was going to ask you if it's
I-
the same hole. you
I don't
can
think
fill
everyone
it in.
has.
I applaud his efforts, and we actually are the developers of the Xfinity right down across kitty corner. So we've done that, and we're real excited. There's a lot of enthusiasm and excitement from a retail perspective for your community. So with this piece, we have a couple different users that we're trying to work with here, and one of them is the grocery store. I can't really name it specifically, but I think you probably know of them. International actually company that wants to come and build a freestander here. And so what very, very difficult piece, because what I'm trying to do is put together the users and the city's requirements with turning radius and 140 feet, and we're running into all that, and we're appreciative of all that. So we're trying to work with as much as we can. And so this particular request is basically at this corner parcel right here, this, the corner of Aldi would actually come into the side yard setback. It's typically 15 feet. We're asking for 10 feet. So it's a variance of 5 feet in this case. So the rest of the property, obviously, because it's on a diagonal, you could see that the back area of it is a lot further setback than the requirement. So we're asking for this here, and we're trying to lay out all these different users and work together to try to, and I'll get into the next variance on the more specifics, but this one in particular is just 10 feet to, or 15 feet to 10 feet on the request.
That's all you have on this one?
Yes, sir.
All right, does anybody in the audience wish to come forward, except for you? Paul, do we have any issue or anything on this?
No correspondence in favor or opposition.
Okay.
And the building to the right there is the current Elmer's Aquarium.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And they have a lot of fish tanks in there. I went in and quite a store, so, yeah.
And they're okay, nothing from Elmer's?
Haven't heard from them.
And actually, what we do have here is in the future, if this property to the right or to the east ever gets developed, we're looking at a future potential connection there to redevelop that if it ever happens. At this time, there's no conversations with them.
No fill needed.
Yeah, we'll get into that later.
Any further questions or anything from the board? Okay, on this first one only, the setback, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I will second the motion.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, that one's taken care of. Your second one,
20-18-A, KDP William Penn LLC. Applicant requests a variance from Table 308 off-street parking requirements of the Monroeville zoning ordinance number 1443 as amended to reduce the number of parking spaces from the required 259 to 230. The property address is 3985 William Penn Highway, tax parcel 743-G-70 in the C2 Business Commercial Zoning District.
okay, thank you. Now, you're both going to testify on this one?
Sure.
Okay. Would you give the secretary your name, please?
Robert Getz, G-O-E-T-Z.
Raise your right hand, please. You swear the testimony you're about to give this board this evening shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Okay, you may both present your case.
So in this particular case, we're asking for a variance on the parking. The property has some hardships. One, it slopes down towards Duff Road, and actually it sits behind a Jiffy Lube. And then the other issue is that the other complication is that we're trying to work with the city to get some very nice sit-down restaurants in the city. And with that, we are trying to propose two different sit-down restaurants. One is a very local, recognized name, and then the other one is a national name that I've actually done probably 5 or 6 developments for, a barbecue chain. It's by far my favorite barbecue chain, and I'm from South Carolina, and there's a lot of barbecue. So the other thing, too, is that what I wanted to share with you, with COVID, what's happening, there's a lot of different needs now that are changing and rapidly growing differently. What they're finding out is that the parking fields, before they used to require a lot of parking. Now they're recognizing that people are coming in, coming out quicker, and a lot of the bigger boxes or retail boxes aren't necessarily needing that, and Bob could speak to this more, but they're not needing all that parking. Aldi requirements, and I've done probably 15 to 20 Aldis, developed for them throughout the United States. They require 95 parking spots, and that's their criteria. They won't go less than, but they need the 95. And Bob can get into more of the specifics here, but he's done the studies. He can actually get into more of the specifics in regards to the parking needs, but we believe that the variance that we're requesting is merited. So if you want to.
Yeah, as Mr. Penko said, the development's going to consist of 3 different types of restaurants, a bank, and a small grocery store. So if you calculate the need per your ordinance, you would need a total of 257 spaces. I know the request says 259. That's actually incorrect because the bank was calculated differently, so it's actually 257. What we're showing on the plan in this application is 230 spaces, meaning it's we come up 27 spaces short. That's about 10% of the total. What we do is we do calculations based on a publication called Institute of Transportation Engineers Parking Generation Manual. And what that is they collect data all over the United States, and they come up with formulas on what various uses generate in terms of peak parking. And not just what they generate in terms of peak parking, but at what time of day and what day of week they generate that peak. So when you go through and you crunch all the numbers, the peak for this particular site and these particular uses would happen on a Friday afternoon between 1 and 2 p.m. And the maximum we would ever see in the total lots would be 187 spaces. So we're providing 230 spaces, so we'd actually have an excess even at the peak. Now, if you start breaking down individual uses, such as the grocery store will be on its own lot, and you can kind of see that on the plan, the dashed line. And like Steve said, this particular grocery store is looking at about 95 spaces. The maximum demand would be about 93 spaces, also on a Friday. However, if you look at the rest of the site at that particular time would be not at peak, so you could get a little bit of spillover into some of the other spaces on the site. Your consultant, Herbert Roll Grubik, looked at our study. They had a couple comments on it. We made some corrections to it, adjustments. We resubmitted it, and I think the latest correspondence from Herbert Roll Grubik was dated August 31st, and they concurred with the revised study.
Okay, anything further, gentlemen?
No, this is site plan 27, and it's been very, very fun and challenging. So, especially the diagonal on the, what would it be, the southwest corner. So, trying to push the buildings up, push them, and Paul's been great working with us and being very patient. So, any questions you may have?
Paul, you have anything further? How we fix for the parking?
Transit Associates generated a parking demand analysis. The municipal traffic engineer reviewed it and has agreed with their findings. So the municipality essentially agrees with their proposition.
Is there anybody in the audience that needs to come forward or wishes to? Sir, would you come forward, please? I need one of you at a time to come up, please. You sign in, please.
Yes.
State your name
My
and
name is
secretary.
Gary Knabe, K-N-A-B-E, and I am the president of Elmer's Aquarium.
Okay, when you raise your right hand, please. You swear the testimony you're about to give tonight to this board shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Well, first of all, we welcome our new tenant, but we are concerned about the parking.
A little bit closer to that mic so they can
Okay, we're concerned about the parking. We know that any overflow would come directly into our lot. We've experienced that in the past with Penn Monroe, on their busy nights. And so we really think that that's an important aspect to possibly just stick to what's the zoning and possibly reshape it and have the allotted 259 is what our request is.
Okay.
That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Come forward, please. Sign in. State your name for the secretary.
Tom DeJonovic. I'm one of the owners of 22 Parking Shop, the property next door.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? You're one of the owners where?
22 Parking Shop, the shopping center next door that you've been filling in.
The little plaza
The
where
little
Elmer
plaza
is.
where Elmer's
With the
Aquarium.
honey baked
Oh, okay.
ham.
So you're a tenant in it?
Hey, would you
I own the place.
raise your right hand, please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You swear the testimony you're about to give this board this evening shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Begin.
Okay, my concern is basically the same as Mr. Knapp. Over the years, we've always had parking problems with the old tenant.
You want to talk into the microphone,
I'm
please?
sorry.
Yeah, I have to be able to hear you, sir.
I'm sorry. Same concern about the parking. Over the years, I've had trouble with the last owner of that place. And I'm glad to see that's filled. I never thought it would be in all my life living here. And I'm just more concerned we don't get into an overflow again. For the last 60-some years, I've had that problem. I like to finish without that problem. And I just like to try to stay closer to what they need and stuff, especially with restaurants, because restaurants do seem to overflow and come over. And that's it. If I hope they open, I hope they get going. I mean, I'm glad to see it being rebuilt. I'm just concerned about the parking. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Judging by what he said previously, they may be considering making offers down the road.
Offers are always there, and money is right.
Go ahead.
I have a suggestion for that, which is not going to be a problem for us. We'll cut off the future access point, and there's actually a slope of about 6 to 8 feet there. So we'll cut that off. We will have no problem making that a condition of the approval. And the restaurants are going to be 500 feet away. They're not going to park over there. So we'd be more than happy to accommodate
Good.
that and cut off the future access. We thought it might be amenable to him, but obviously, and I have tried through my broker to reach out to him. We have not communicated, which is fine. So we will remove, if it's the desire of the board, we'd be happy to remove that, and therefore there will be a 5 to 6 foot drop. And I don't think people will park, since the only access point is the one that's been approved by IDOT. I'm sorry, PennDOT. I'm from Illinois, so IDOT. So it's the approval, it's the approved location, and that's what we'll keep that, and hopefully that will accommodate and help him out so that there's no parking.
Okay, we all right with that, Paul?
Yeah.
We need to have that entered.
As Mr. Panko stated, you know, the grocery store is on that side of the development. You know, the building is right up against that property line, so I highly doubt anybody would walk 500-plus feet around the building to go to a restaurant. So if anything, the restaurant patrons would fill up the grocery store parking lot before Park 22.
Okay. We'll make sure that's entered in.
All right, so let's do this. So there's going to be a condition to this approval. Why don't you address a letter to Paul? And I don't know that you have do you have the authority to say this? I mean, what you just told us?
Yeah,
You-
I sure do. Well, I'm the contract purchaser, so, and we're the ones that
Oh,
are moving.
you have ownership in it?
Yeah. Well, we're in, so yeah, we haven't closed, but we
How
are
about us
contract
putting
purchaser.
a letter together on your stationery, telling them exactly what it is you're going to do, and we'll make that part of the
Okay,
record.
we will not have a cross access.
He was, just for clarification, I think Bruce was asking, are you part owners in KDP?
Yes. Yes,
That's what I
sir.
was asking.
Mhm.
Okay.
I just had one question. So all
Yep.
the parking in this new development is open parking?
Yeah.
No restaurant has dedicated? Okay.
And thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, and I forgot to mention, cross access, cross parking throughout the center. And there will be an REA or OEA that will be recorded, approved by the city. Yes.
So when the bank closes, it's free
Yep.
for all? Okay.
Is there, how many entrances and exits is there?
There's the approved from PennDOT in the middle, so
Okay.
it's approximately, I think, 300-400 feet away.
All right.
And then the other one is that we worked really hard, because there was one big sticking issue. And the German, we do have the German piece under contract, and we're planning on closing on it and working with it. However, what I really wanted to do was try to get the Aldi over behind the Jiffy Lube, because it's such a big building. And with the sticking point that Paul told me, we'll work with you, but you need to line up Duff Road with across the street. So we ended up putting Aldi on the other side and then working that. So we worked with the city and staff to accomplish that. So there's just 2 access points.
Or whatever that grocery store is that you.
I'm sorry. I guess I said it, so.
Anybody, anything else?
Nope.
Entertain a motion on the second section.
I'll make a motion to approve with the new concessions.
I will second that motion.
Thank you.
Approved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Welcome, good luck to you.
Good
Thank
luck
you.
with the
Thank you.
development.
Appreciate it. Thanks for that.
You just leave that right there. I'll call you or something. I'll call you tomorrow.
Use accommodation.
Okay, Paul.
Item 5, 20-19-A, MSP Properties of Pennsylvania LP. Applicant requests a variance from Table 201C, permitted uses, conditional uses, yard and area requirements of the Monroeville zoning ordinance number 1443 as amended, to construct a retail building that will encroach approximately 3 feet into the required 15-foot side yard setback. The Property address is 2524 Mossad Boulevard, tax parcel 857R46, in the C2 Business Commercial Zoning District.
Okay, this will be a two-part also. Is there someone here, applicant here? Come on forward. Whoever's going to handle the first one, if you want to come up first.
Probably both
You both
Okay.
sworn in.
Would you both sign in, please?
Yeah, I already signed it.
Okay. You give the secretary your name?
Mitchell Papin, MSP Properties in Pennsylvania.
Tony Sadaka.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, would you raise your right hand, please? You swear the testimony you're about to give this board this evening shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Whoever's going to begin, go ahead.
My name is Tony Sadaka. I work with Widmer Engineering. We're the consultants designing the project. Mitchell Papin is the MSP for Properties developer. And the site that we're talking about is going to be similar almost to the story you just told from the gentleman behind us. So the first variance that we're talking about is the setback. Part of the issue that we have is the shape of the property that we have. It goes on an angle, so by the time we put our property in the back, we need 15 feet on both sides. We can get it on one corner, but on the other corner, just because of the shape, we end up not able to fit it in. And without, I think that is for the picture, the back of the building, the site is a hillside. So we're trying to go into it, but that's like as far as we can go. So it ends up being, we're stuck in the space that we have. I'm not sure if you can see the picture.
Can we get that picture on camera, please?
I have a
Thank you.
smaller size.
Yeah, it's right there.
of this bit.
You can zoom out a little bit so it fits on the screen better.
Yeah, so the 12 feet is on this corner right here. We get 12 feet. And we can get the 15 on this side. We already have that, but we can't get it right here. We're off by the 3 feet that we have. The side property next to us, where the 12 feet you have is about 5 feet lower than where we are. So we're restricted with that space, the width of the lot in the back. And I don't want to complicate it, but part of the other issue is that in this area here, this is for the delivery, so we can't go any further with our site. Either way, we're stuck with the surrounding that we have, and ends up being by the time we fit everything, no matter which way we move it, the bottom line, we're stuck in that corner with that 3 feet that we just can't make it fit. And part of the other things, not to confuse the issue, we have to figure out how the trucks can get in and out. So all these issues make it, we have to fit it where you see it right now.
Hey Jared, can you zoom out just a little bit so you can see the entire site plan? A little more, keep going, a little more, right there.
So you can see
recenter
the
that?
parking, these are the parking, the property that's below is gonna be 5 feet below where we are, where they're parked, and then there's an embankment that goes up, and then where our site will be.
What parcel is next, what is to the right of you?
The building,
Existing
It's a medical office, insurance office.
Okay,
right now, this property's abandoned car wash, is not in use right now.
yep.
And, yeah, that's where we are.
Okay, is that all you have on that section?
Yes, sir.
Anything else we need to know on that, Paul?
No, it's pretty cut and dry. They're just asking for a variance for side yard setback.
Anybody in the audience wish to come forward? Any board members have anything further? Entertain a motion on the first section.
I will make a motion to approve 20-19-A.
I second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, if you would, please.
Second one?
Yes, 2020.
Okay, the second
I'll
issue.
read it, let me read the
Yes.
description first.
Yep.
Item 6, 20-20-A, MSP Properties of Pennsylvania LP. Applicant requests a variance from Table 308 off-street parking requirements of the Monroeville zoning ordinance number 1443 as amended to reduce the number of parking spaces from the required 38 to 18. The property address is 2524 Mossad Boulevard, tax parcel 857R46 in the C2 Business Commercial Zoning District.
Okay, now you may begin, please.
Okay, so with this issue, with the site that we have and the area that we have, we do Dollar General, Mitchell, they develop Dollar General. And based on what Dollar General model and their volume of service, and they study this to the nth degree, 18 lot spots is the target that they have for their property. What they have, just like the gentleman mentioned in the last one, the traffic engineering, in this case in Dollar General, their peak hour of service is not similar to, say, with your normal rush hour, 4 to 6, where everybody leaves work and everybody's on the highway. Their peak hours spread out throughout the day, so they don't have that maximum spot where they have to have so many, that large number of people. Their model, their service is very sporadic throughout the day, throughout the week, that for that size lot, it's an 85 by 85, that require 18. Part of the other side of why is that although the building itself is 85 by 85, the actual size that's usable, like the hallways where or alleyway where your sales is actually in there, is I would say 2/3 of the building. Let's say it's not, not every piece of every square foot of it is where you're buying things. So there's storage in the back. So with that result, the numbers, like was mentioned, if you go by your ordinance, and I apologize, I think you said you needed 38. So if you go by the actual sale area of 5,600, and your ordinance will require 28. Acknowledge we're only providing 18. Again, the 18 is for the fact that that's all the Dollar General, that's all they ask for. We have letters from them. We have multiple projects that we've done in different municipalities. We give them the 18, and they're happy, and the business runs, and there's no complaints. So
I'd like to show a rendering of the proposed property.
this will show you in general what it looks like. This is
I can hand it out to you guys.
We have.
We have it.
We got
Oh,
a
you have
copy of
it
it.
printed?
Thank you.
So this is along Mercedes Boulevard, and we have I'm looking at it, there's a sidewalk we're gonna install as part of the project. There'll be a little strip of grass area, then the parking, the building, and in the back of the building, there's gonna be a sort of wall, and we're keeping the trees, because there's, I think, homes in the back, so we're leaving the trees a buffer to the people behind. And then on the side, like I mentioned, there'll be a drop-off that's 5 feet on the right side of the building. So going back to the issue of the parking again, we have multiple projects, they all provide that same amount. The Dollar General, I think we provided the letter from Dollar General that says what they're looking for. And I totally understand that you have your ordinance of what generates, but in the model of these with traffic that they are generating, they don't need more than this. And hearing what was mentioned about the concern if somebody parks next door, same thing, you're gonna have a buffer, because the drop-off, nobody's gonna, I don't think, maybe, it's not that easy to just walk and park from one to the other, so you're gonna have a separation from your neighbor.
And this building, I'm proposing an all-brick building. A lot of Dollar Generals are metal. Monroeville's a nice town, and I wanted to have a nice building here. So this is going to be all brick. Here's an example of an actual one.
If you could push it closer to me.
Okay.
There you go. That's better. You can zoom in on it.
And you guys are high-tech.
Yeah, the light is not maybe hitting it, but basically it's all gonna be brick.
I have a question. As far as like the deliveries and everything, what time of day can Dollar General make deliveries? Can they make them at midnight or when
Usually,
stores close, when there's less traffic on 48?
so usually they're 7 a.m. They open at 8 a.m. They close at 10 p.m. So
Okay.
they don't do it after hours, after 10 p.m. Usually it's 7 a.m. Sometimes it's during the day. It could, if you have a problem with what time it is, you can tell Paul and I could have them schedule a certain time. But as for the parking, the truck doesn't. I'll redo this again. The truck doesn't affect any of the parking. It's all one motion and doesn't run over any stalls.
Yeah.
And that's why we made the drive aisle 44 feet how it is.
So they
These are
can-
semi-trucks that deliver?
Yeah, it's a one semi truck a week delivers. It's a 50 WB50. It comes in, backs up here, and then leaves.
So he has the ability to back into the loading dock. He doesn't have to back in from 48.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, and all the maneuvers will be within the lot.
PennDOT would never
That's
allow
part,
that.
that's why it's such a wide alley, it's 44
They could
feet.
show that.
Um,
I feel like I'm talking.
I think if you have the drawing, you'll see where it says 44 in the middle.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
why
we got
it's
it right
so
here.
wide, so that the truck can go in, turn, and leave, and not touch anything. But with the delivery, it's like Mitchell mentioned, it's once a week delivery. That's all they do.
I have a few questions. How many employees do you typically have running a store?
6 to 9. At one, they hire 9 to 12 employees. There's usually 3 to maximum 6 at one given time. Christmas time, there's usually around 6.
So potentially 6 parking spots would be consumed by those 6 employees, bringing us down to 12.
Well, I would say this. Dollar General, we put the letter together. At Christmas time is their peak, their big rush hour, per se. They have that all calculated with the employees. Like the guy was talking about the Aldis, they needed 95. Dollar General would not do a project if they knew it would not work. So, for example, there's never 18 spots at one time filled at a Dollar General. There's maybe 5 cars there at one given time.
Yeah, if you notice, I mean, if you drive around and see other Dollar General, you don't, their model is not, again, it's not like a Costco, it's not like a Walmart. There is not a massive amount of people that go to these types of stores. They're almost Circle K type or 7, that kind of a, maybe all day, but they're every 15 minutes, there's people in and out throughout the day. That's why their parking lot hardly ever is full.
I don't know if we can show from, and these are 3, I don't know if you can see it well, 3 other Dollar Generals around here that have the same amount of parking.
And the size of the
It's hard to
store
see.
for the proposed one versus
Same
these-
exact size.
They all
Now,
have the
this is
same
painted,
footprint.
this is painted brick. Ours is not gonna be painted brick, it's gonna be dyed brick. Personally, I think that's nicer because you don't have to repaint it, doesn't chip, and I think this layout is much classier.
Oh, did we have any input from HRG or anything on the traffic study or anything?
Yes, the applicant has provided 3 examples of other existing stores that have 18 parking spaces. I forwarded that information on to the municipal traffic engineer, HRG. They reviewed it, and the ITE, the traffic manual, agrees with what they are stating here, 18 spaces is adequate.
And it is a low-volume traffic store, so it's not like a Dunkin' Donuts where it's all day, or they're all morning. Burger King, or McDonald's all day.
I guess the question I have is that, and we wish you well as far as making sure this property works, but what happens if your store closes and somebody else moves in, and we have an issue as far as their parking? Mr. Dice, does that carry over? Or,
If the use was exactly the same,
okay.
if the use changes at all, if it's not,
But if it's another retail store,
the general answer to the question is no, it doesn't, because I'm going to assume it's not going to be an identical use. If it is, then it would carry over. Someone would have to come back in if they were going to put some sort of retail use there that was not comparable to this use.
This is comparable like an auto parts store. Let's say a restaurant, they're there for at least 15 years. They have options after that, which they'll most likely be there longer. But if they were to leave, and let's say McDonald's would want to go right here, they're going to tear the building down anyways, because McDonald's has their own.
If a McDonald's came in, they would have to ask for a variance.
Yeah.
Anything further from the board?
My only concern I have is just with the truck backing in with this here, and then what Gary was mentioning about if for some reason Dollar General doesn't make it work. But
It is designed to, they have the engineered, that's the first thing we do is engineer the truck to back up and turn without hitting any spaces.
so if the delivery is gonna be made during the day, when the store is open, he's gonna be able to swing in off of 48 and pull right into this opening
Yes.
between
We
here,
have- we have a
pull in,
computer-
and then be able to back up with no problem.
But I think he stated it may be an hour before the store opens, you'll be making deliveries.
Even if it's, the store is open.
here's 3 other examples. Truck comes in.
He needs to be at a microphone.
You can't talk off the microphone, you have to go on.
Sorry, guys. Here's 3 other examples of the same layout for the truck.
Give him a second.
Not yet, yeah. There we go.
So the truck comes in here, drives this way, backs up. This was one example. Same thing with this one, and then if you look at this one as well, is actually very similar. Truck comes in, backs up, leaves straight ahead.
I wish I had it, we can send it, we already have that. The first thing, like Mitchell mentioned, the first thing we do on any of these jobs is the truck. If the truck doesn't fit, the Dollar General won't do the project. So we do have a computer model, which is called AutoTurn, which is specifically to the size of any truck, models any truck you want. So we have it for this truck, and that truck will show the actual wheel path of the truck making all the maneuvers and leaving without touching any of the parking lot, and we can email that plan tomorrow, first thing tomorrow morning.
The other thing is, we could have had the parking closer, but we were talking to Paul, the truck, if we had the parking closer, the truck could run over the stalls and go back. That would have to be an early morning delivery forever. In this case, we had it larger because we could fit it, and we didn't want to have stuck at early morning deliveries no matter what, having to run over the stalls.
Okay.
You mentioned there's homes behind, and I see a dumpster pad. Do you have are there restrictions as far as when dumpsters can be picked up and lids banged and stuff like that?
I can make sure that it's not at night or like in early hours or at night, but it's like a 40-foot hill.
Okay.
The house is 40 feet is probably a good estimate. It's way up, and because the back of the building is gonna be like a wall and matching with the building. And then there's that hillside, and like I said, there'll be a tree, the leftover of the parcel, we're leaving.
There's a dumpster there now. I don't know what time they get picked up, but
I don't think.
I don't think
car
that
washes
picked up, it's closed, so I don't think
Yeah.
anything's happening there.
is gonna be generating a whole lot.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a lot of stuff.
there was one before.
Monroeville does have an ordinance on when that restricts trash collection, and I don't know the time offhand, but I believe it's not before 5 a.m.
Okay. Thank you.
Till they get to my house. Yeah, it's right around.
So we have nothing from any neighbors or anything like that?
No correspondence on this one.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody in the audience?
Anybody in the audience have anything to come forward with? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
All right, I'm gonna make a motion to approve after hearing, from what Paul was saying about the approval from the, what was it called, HRG. So I'm gonna make a motion to approve.
I will second. I do have concerns about the number of spaces, but I understand what you're saying as far as almost like an auto parts store, and I've witnessed that, and I trust that that'll bear out.
Thank you.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Did I get my good angle?
Yeah.
Paul, if you would, please.
Last item, number 7, 20-21-A, James J. Herlinger. Applicant requests a variance from section 210 fences of the Monroeville zoning ordinance number 1443 as amended to construct a 6-foot tall solid fence in the front yard of the property that faces Knollwood Drive. Property address is 1343 Woodcliff Drive, tax parcel 980B23, in the R1 one-family residential zoning district.
Thank you. You are the applicant, sir?
Yes, sir.
Give your name to the secretary.
James Herlinger?
Have you signed in already?
Yes, I
Would you
do.
raise your right hand, please? You swear that the testimony you're about to give this board this evening shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Present your case.
This is my second pass at this. I was here back in July to get the 6-foot privacy fence on a corner lot. So Knollwood Drive was considered a second front, and that was approved. But there was a couple hiccups during the installation that it didn't go quite as per the drawing. I don't know if you can see the camera.
Put it on the X.
Pardon?
Put it on the X.
Oh, okay.
No, on
No,
the
you
X.
had it on
Where-
there.
where you
had it? Right
Where you
in-
had,
Right in
where
the
you had
center
it.
of the,
Right on the board.
Right in the middle, right there.
That
move it
teeny-
to your
X,
left.
X.
Move it to your left.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
You know,
I can't read it, but what this current variance request is for is that on the original drawings, there should have been a 12-foot setback from the curb to where the fence started, and it turns out there's only 8 foot. And basically, what happened was during the installation, there was supposed to be a 6-foot gate on the north side of the fence, and somehow the installers missed that, and they put an 8-foot section in. So obviously, that's 2-foot difference there, but that doesn't explain the whole 4-foot difference. So I looked into it a little bit, and well, to go through the numbers real quick. So that side of the fence should have had 3 8-foot sections, which is 24 feet, 1 6-foot section, which is 6 feet, a 4-foot gate, and a 6-foot gate. That totals 40 feet. And originally, from the house to the curb, we thought was 52 feet, which gave us a 12-foot setback. Okay, so the first issue is, like I said, the installers somehow missed a 6-foot gate and put an 8-foot section in, so right there is 2 foot off of that setback, so now that would be at 10 feet. Now, there was another discrepancy, and I really don't know how this happened, but it's definitely the problem was we thought there was 52 feet from the house to the curb, but there was only 50 feet. I don't know where on the drawings that got corrupted, but it did, and that explains the other 2 feet. So now, what we have is obviously the 2 feet for the gate missing, and the 2 feet error in the house to the curb is 4 feet, so now the setback's only 8 feet instead of 12. And to put that back to the 12 feet as the original drawing, it would take to jackhammer out 5 posts, which would have to be thrown away because they can't reuse them. They're cemented in. They have to dig 5 new holes, cement 5 new posts back in. All the pickets in that could be reused, and that would take away 128 square feet of existing fence, but I originally wasn't planning on having that, but the labor and the material to do that would be pretty expensive to move it back.
So I understand then. You were here in July,
Yeah.
and you're representing to the board now in September that the representations you made to the board then were, I'll use the word inaccurate.
Well, there was an installation error, but they missed putting in a 6-foot fence. They put an 8-foot section in, so it made it 2 foot too long toward the road. And then, but that still didn't explain why it was off 4 feet. So digging into it, I realized that dimension from the house to the road was off.
Okay, so that representation you made to the board, and I'm trying to be diplomatic about it, was not correct.
Well,
July.
it kind of was. I had stakes in the ground 12 foot back from the curb with red or with orange fluorescent tape on it that they blatantly ignored. And when I brought that up to the company's president, he said, "We don't go by stakes, we go by the drawing." And I said to him, "Well, obviously don't go by the drawing. You missed a 6-foot gate and put in an 8-foot
Which,
fence."
did you submit the drawing to us?
Yes.
Okay. Try to help me then. Was your drawing inaccurate?
There was an error in it, yes.
Okay. And now you were granted a variance based upon those representations to the board. You later found out that they were incorrect, and now you're back again for a second time
Correct.
to correct those inaccuracies.
Correct.
Okay. Let me ask you, when the construction of this fence was taking place, were you approached by Paul, who told you you're getting into a jackpot here, you're a little bit over what you're supposed to be, where you're supposed to be? And the response was,
I didn't
I'll
know anything
just,
about it until the fence was already installed and cemented in.
and your response was, well, I'll just file another variance to correct what I did wrong. Is that
I
what took
talked to
place?
Paul about it after the fence was installed. I mean, I wasn't aware that they even missed the gate till after they had all the posts and concreted in on that side. And,
I guess I have a question as well. As if you noticed there was an issue, why didn't you stop the project right there, then and there, and fix the problem and wait until you got the right pieces and not continue the project?
well, I didn't realize at that point that that was gonna, affect the setback. All I knew is they put an 8-foot fence in there and because they had to chop one of the 8-foot sections, make it 6. I didn't know how they were gonna do that, but it turns out they didn't do anything. We had to move the fence over near the other side of the house, which originally was gonna have it over there, but I asked them to move it back to where the drawing showed because there's a tree right there. So now I have the gates where it's not really optimum place anyway, but, when I saw their error, all I thought they did was just put an 8-foot section in instead of a 6-foot gate, not realizing that that was gonna affect the setback and all that.
Were you home while they were doing the installation?
I work at home, yeah. But that's the thing, they never questioned me. I had stakes in where the 12-foot from the easement should have been, and they didn't ask or they didn't care about it.
Well, it should have been you questioning them, not them questioning
Yeah,
you.
you're paying them.
Well, I'm not there to supervise them, I mean, they're just,
I can tell you what, sir, if it was my project and I was putting this in, I would take the day off and I would stood outside and watch them do everything and make sure it was done correctly
Well,
the
it
way
was
that you wanted it done.
it was a week-long project, it's not like a day.
Well, you should have had them come and you talk to them and map it all out where it was supposed to be done and not the way it was done.
And if you
Not
had
over
the,
the
if you,
situation.
yeah, if you had the post markings with orange fluorescent paint or whatever, and if it took a week to do, those, when they started digging their post, you didn't notice that the posts were not dug to your specifications as far as where you had them marked? I'm wondering if you don't have redress back to the fence company. It seems like you're coming back to us to solve something that the fence company made the error.
Well, they definitely made the error, but there was 2 errors. There's one that first dimension was off from day one that no one ever caught until it came up being too short.
Did you have a conversation with Paul during the construction?
I don't believe so, it was after.
I stopped out to visit you. During construction, the section of fence that's in question had been completed. They were still working on the other area around the back of the house, and,
They were still, the contractor was still on site.
correct.
Did you notify him of the error, or what did you tell?
I was.
Tell me what you said to the applicant.
I was contacted by some concerned residents that the fence was too close. I visited the site, measured it, verified that it was too close. Contacted Mr. Herlinger immediately after I measured it. We discussed it. He talked to the contractor. They were trying to decide on site right then whether to remove the fence and build it as per the variance or seek a second variance. And no decision was made at that time while I was there.
So how much of the project was done when you were there?
A third, maybe half.
Well, the section in question was the very first thing they did. They started on that side of the house, came west, went back south, and back east, and then north. So that was the very first thing they did. What happened, the hiccup with them was, the first day they had two guy crew. One was the lead, and the other guy was basically his laborer. Well, he got sick, and the next day it was another guy that was the lead who just started on the job and took over where the other guy left off. And he's the one that missed the 6-foot gate, and he's the one that did it. Well, there's probably 3 or 4 things that weren't quite right. I wrote the president a 2-page letter of all the anomalies back then, and he didn't want to hear it, and it turned out that was his son. He's the VP of the company, which I didn't know. So I really didn't get anywhere with that about any of the things they had wrong with him, because that was his son really that was heading the crew up the rest of the time there.
You keep coming up with the same thing. You're putting it all on the builder, the contractor. You're saying, you wanted to talk to him, you wanted to work it out with him to get him to do it correctly and everything. Everything that's occurred so far has been put on the shoulders of the contractor that was building the fence. And it doesn't go on him, it goes on you. You're the responsible party for that.
Well, it goes on you here.
Here it goes, yes.
Yeah,
I think Gary indicates
that's
that
their
you have
job
a
to build
cause
the
of
fence
action
for the
against
spec.
the
And
Yeah, you can go back, in our opinion, toward, as Bruce said, toward that company to correct the situation that's there.
oh yeah, I could definitely do that. If it's disapproved, that's what I'm going to have to do. But
Okay, Mr.
I mean,
Hurd, is
it's
that,
a lot of effort to move back 4 feet. But if that 8 foot's too close, I understand.
is that all you have to present?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does anybody in the audience wish to present anything? If you do, please come forward. You can just have a seat right there, please.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
You sign in and state your name for the secretary.
You want everything here, sir?
It's just so I can spell your name correctly.
All right.
Raise your right hand, please.
Name is Scott Shear.
You swear the testimony you're about to give this board shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Gentlemen, can I show you a picture on my phone? Is it possible? Will it come
You
up
might
if I
put
put
it
it
on
there?
Yeah, you can
We'll
put
try
on
it.
the
Try it.
Put it right in the middle. He'll see if he can pull it up for you.
Give him a
If
second.
you could stand in front of the microphone to.
Scott, save your trouble. Is this the picture you want to show us?
No, that's not the same picture.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I definitely want to dispute what Jim is saying. I mean, gentlemen, it took 3 weeks to put this fence together.
Move closer to the microphone, please, sir.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I should have learned from the other people. It took 3 weeks for this fence to be put together. I have this picture here from my residence, and you can clearly see that the fence was undone. And sorry if I don't know your name, sir, but you're absolutely right. You should be outside with a tape measure.
Mr. Shear, can you
What?
rotate your phone?
Yeah, is that the
so that
RV we're looking, is that the RV we're looking at?
There we
Okay.
go.
Look,
There we go.
yeah, well, you had it.
Align it, turn it on a diagonal so that it's, yeah, right there.
And did your phone go dark, or,
I think it did.
there you go.
Okay.
There we go.
All right, gentlemen, you can see the fence being done, and as Jim said, the front facing Knollwood is complete, but the side facing, I don't know if it's northeast, west, or south, I'm sorry, but you can clearly see, and any person would know that there's an 8-foot gap there, and no fence, because there's a bottom rail between those 2 posts. So I definitely dispute his testimony, saying he was unaware that they were not going to put a fence or a gate down. I believe that the evidence shows that he maliciously knew that there was not going to be 8 feet against the road, right? So I think we all have a tape measure in our house. I think we all can walk steps to determine how far it is. And it was 3 weeks until he, questioned maybe perhaps that it was too close. So, what we feel, or I feel, and he admitted that, that the worker did not perform, but he had the opportunity to stop it, okay, and he didn't do so. So to his own accord, we're here today because the builder didn't do what he was supposed to do per the plan. Also, as a homeowner, and before you do any type of renovation, you should measure your own yard, right? So he should be out there with the builder whenever you're trying to put a fence up and know exactly what the dimension is. So he did file, plans that did not, meet the specs and did misrepresent things, right? It's a little hard to breathe with this. So with that being said, I do believe, Paul, and thank you, Paul, for your help, has received a few letters from the neighborhood, right? So he is definitely in what we believe is in violation of permit 359-40I, that the work does not comply with the standards and that there has been a misrepresentation. So what I'm looking to do today, and I'm going to ask you, what do we as homeowners have, the ability to do, okay? I want the fence moved further back, okay, because of the misrepresentation, okay? And Paul, maybe you can comment. We supplied letters of how dangerous this fence is. The first person tonight wanted a fence on Northern Pike, where it's loud, potentially dangerous. This defaces the neighborhood, and that picture that you showed me blocks and judges, alters the character of the neighborhood. So with that being said, the violation of 359-40I, as well as another violation of 510.3D, is that not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. We believe it has. It's a dangerous situation. Every day the post office drops their truck off right in front of that fence. Cars come around it. It's very dangerous because it's a blind spot. And with that being said, I'm looking to revoke, his initial variance. He has to move it back because, it's too close. I'm asking you to let's move it back further so it's safer.
Okay. To answer your question that you asked, what can you as a resident do? You did the right thing. You come to us. We'll handle the situation.
Right.
As best we can, okay?
I appreciate
It'll be
that.
handled this evening.
Right. Do we have the opportunity to revoke the initial variance due to the initial misrepresentation?
You can't.
Can you?
It's possible. We'll discuss it.
That's part of the decision process. We haven't heard all the testimony yet.
Right.
We understand what you're asking for.
Right. So my other question is, based on his testimony, it's costly to move it, right? Where do we draw the line of cost and safety, right? I think from that picture that you showed, the stop sign, the bend, the blind spot, perhaps it wasn't the best decision initially to be approved. I'm all for privacy, but if you look, and I'm sure maybe some of you have, if you were there and from that one picture that you showed, if you could bring it up, can we pull that picture up? Yeah.
I was there the other day, by the way.
Right. So if we want privacy, look where the privacy is gained by moving it back, right? If we move it 2 sections back, 3 sections back, you're not going to see that back porch. And that's what the initial variance request was for, privacy. Now, I wasn't there when you came on my property to take that picture, but that's right where I live. I don't know Jim, from Adam, but that's what I see every day. And trust me, that fence offers no privacy for where he's at. So my request is, grant him the privacy. We have to move it up. Let's move it up 3 sections and do what's right and put that in the side of the yard, not right there on the front, because it is technically a front in a residential neighborhood. And it definitely alters the character of where we live. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You may be seated. Would anybody else like to come forward? Sir, in the back. So you folks know, we do have a whole bunch of letters from the residents over there. We have 8 to be exact of the residents. Sign in, please. State your name for the secretary.
Gordon Conn, C-O-N-N. I live at,
No, I don't, that's all right. You just sign it in there.
okay.
Okay, would you raise your right hand, please? You swear the testimony you're about to give this board this evening shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please.
Okay, first of all, I was here for the original variance hearing, you may remember.
Move over to the
And,
microphone, please.
Pardon me.
That's good.
And, thank you fellas for serving on this board. We appreciate it. I serve on some committees for Monroeville and care very much about our community. I'm on the Parks and Rec Board. I served on the Transportation Plan. I'm also I served as the Monroeville representative on the Westmoreland Heritage Trail. So I do care about our community. And I was here for the first hearing. I spoke out against this, and I said that it wasn't something that was going to add to our community. It was going to look bad. And from the original picture you showed, you can see that it doesn't fit in a residential community. In any case, I want to kind of supplement some of what Scott said. I live right next to him, and I look directly at this, whatever you want to call it. I call it an offense instead of a fence. And I want to point out from the zoning ordinance that I read, if the zoning officer finds that the work does not comply with the applicable standards, or that there has been a misrepresentation by any applicant, the zoning officer shall revoke the zoning permit. It doesn't sound like there's a lot of room there for discussion. And I want to indicate from that first meeting, there were other misrepresentations. He said that he needed this thing for privacy, but if he would have went with the original ordinance, he would have had more privacy because the fence would have sat higher on the hillside and blocked where he sits on his porch. So, I believe that's a misrepresentation. Secondly, he said he needed it for the safety of his grandchildren. I don't see where bringing the fence down that close to the road provides any additional safety than it would have had with the original ordinance. And even more so, we've created a safety hazard for the children that do ride their bicycles and walk along the streets. So, I don't think this thing should have been approved in the first place, and I did state that. And I think there's even more reason now that when you can see it, it's hard for the community when they had to, basically look at a piece of paper versus now where that fence sits. And you said you've driven out and you looked at it. I don't know that any of you would want that next to your property, that think that it adds any value to the community. And secondly, it's just, with COVID, people didn't want to come out and talk. None of us really want to come here and talk to you folks. But you can see now with the letters that have been submitted, they're all basically saying the same thing. I've talked to as many people as I could in the neighborhood, and I have not found one person that thinks this thing is a good idea. So hopefully you'll help us out here and revoke this original variance. Thank you.
Look, come up, get your phone.
Oh, shucks.
Is there anybody else in the audience that wishes to come forward?
Can we come up together?
Sure. You both sign in, please.
Okay.
If you give the secretary your names.
I'm Sue Lameo at 1316 Deerfield Drive.
I'm Joanne Beck. I'm at 1323 Deerfield Drive. And I just wanted to second the motion of both of
Hold on.
them. I'm sorry. We have to
Both
do
done?
our,
You raise your right hand, please. You
sorry.
swear the testimony you're about to give this board this evening shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to just have my opinion stated and second the motion or whatever with what Scott and Gordon said about the fence. I think it's just really an eyesore, and I think it's a safety concern. And that's all I really wanted to say.
And I second that too. I just wanted to be on the record to second the motion of exactly what all of our neighbors are saying, that our neighborhood, it really kind of devalues our properties. And I agree with moving it back much closer to his garage.
Yeah, his porch where he will have his privacy. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Paul, I don't think it's necessary to ask you if we've heard from any of the residents, because we obviously have. Do you have anything else you'd like to add to it?
I see his hands up.
I do not, but Mr.
Wanna
Hurlinger
come
would like
forward,
another
sir?
shot.
I'm sorry.
Well, let me go backwards here. The last people, I'm not even sure where they live. Deerfield is not around our neighborhood. It's probably a block away, so I'm not sure that they're neighbors. But at any rate, the fence is the fence is 50 feet back from the stop sign. I don't know how they say that. If you pull up the stop sign, how's that fence in your way at all? I mean, it's 50 feet behind you. The stop sign's in front of them. And the reason the fence is, one of the reasons I wanted to put the fence is there because nobody stops at the stop sign. And we have grandchildren, and we have pets. That's why I wanted the yard fenced in so nobody gets run over. And to move the fence back, I mean, that's a very expensive fence. And if I move it back three sections like they're saying, I'd have about half the space. Now I got $10,000 invested in half of the space, which makes no sense. All my area is down there by that direction. Up further, it's narrow and there's bushes up there. And so I have no clue what they're saying about a safety issue with the stop sign. That's why I wanted it there, because no one stops at the stop sign. And it absolutely does not block any view of the stop sign at all. If they don't like it because it's an eyesore when they look from their property, that's one thing, but they can't say it's a safety issue. That's just not true. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I will say, when I was over there, I went up this past your house, made the left, went up the hill, and came back down. You have to pull out a little bit far to be able to see around your fence to see if anything's coming down. You understand where I'm talking about?
I never go up that way, so I don't.
A lot of other people do, though.
All right.
Okay, anybody else? Any board members have anything else? Can I read this?
Okay, I want everybody to understand that there's the matter before you tonight, which is on our report of decision. There appears to be another issue, and that is whether or not the original fence should be, some action should be taken there. So I think you should take up this item, and if it's your pleasure to take up the original decision, I have a motion prepared if that's what you want to do. So let's take up the first item that's on the agenda for tonight.
I have a question first. Can the letters from the residents, can we submit those as evidence right
Yeah.
for the record?
Yeah, I think we'll put them in, if there's a second motion made, they'll be both places. I wanted to query, Paul, the 8 letters that you have, are they all dated and signed, or at least signed?
A lot of them were emails, so they weren't signed. They may have
Okay,
a name at the bottom.
You
but
can
it's not
identify
signed.
who sent it to you.
Correct, yes.
And when did you receive these?
Several today and several earlier in the week.
All right, are any of them in favor of the applicant?
No.
Okay. They'll also be part of the record then.
Would you like to read your?
Okay, so you know, if you were wanted to take action to revoke or void the first variance that was granted, I would suggest to you the motion would read as follows. A motion to revoke and void the original variance as a result of the admission by the applicant that there were material misrepresentations made to the zoning hearing board in July 2019, as we heard tonight during the testimony tonight. Now, when I use those, and that would be the end of it, when I use those words, material misrepresentations, I don't mean that the applicant lied. What I mean is that this is a civil misrepresentation, but it's substantial. It's material, and that's the issue if you choose to take up the variance that was granted in July. This is a case of first impression. It's an unusual case, but the fact remains is he has made the admission that there were inaccuracies, misrepresentations made. And as such, that calls into question the variance that was granted. So I've stated the motion. And again, I don't want him to think that I think he lied. I don't think he lied. I think he misrepresented. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that he made a mistake, because, as I think we pointed out to him, his claim is to the contractor, not to us. He has to make honest representations to this board. He couldn't do that because he didn't have the proper facts. Had you known everything he said tonight, you may not have granted that variance. That's why I say to you, they're material misrepresentations. So that would be a second motion altogether.
Where's the July
That's the
2020?
July 19th.
July 1st?
2019.
No, it was 2020, wasn't it?
2020.
2020.
2020. So let's deal with the one that we have printed up tonight.
Are you referring to his request for a second variance?
Yes.
Okay.
The motion?
Yes, now, if you have something to say.
Can I read this now?
Absolutely.
Okay. It is our opinion that any hardships that have been created over the construction of this fence is solely the fault of the homeowner, who knowingly violated the terms of the previous variance issued by this board at the July meeting. The homeowner is completely aware that the way the fence is erected is in violation of the 12-foot setback created and granted by the zoning hearing board. Paul, do you have more to add to that at all?
The previous variance was for 12 foot behind the curb. It was built 8 foot behind the curb, so there's a 4-foot discrepancy between what was approved and what was built.
Okay, that's all I have to add on that section. Call for a motion. We'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to deny the applicant's request for the variance 20-21-A.
I second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That
Now,
motion-
is it the board's desire to move into that second motion that I read before? And if it is, then I would suggest I would read it again for the record.
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody agree?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right, let me state it again so that this item is coming up under the, I'm going to use a term, sua sponte, by the board as a result of what we've heard tonight. A motion to revoke and void the original variance as a result of the admission by the applicant that there were material misrepresentations made to the zoning hearing board in the July 2020 zoning hearing board hearing. And we heard this tonight during the testimony of the applicant, which is September 2nd, 2020. There's a motion on the floor.
I would make that motion.
Okay.
I second.
Okay, motion
May I ask a
moved
question?
and seconded?
May I ask a question about the motion?
Sure.
After- What is the consequence of making this motion? If it approves, what does the homeowner have to do? What's the
Well,
remedy?
it's not my job to give advice to the homeowner.
Okay.
I think there's probably some remedies he might, by moving it in some fashion, but that would take into consideration a third request for variance. But will you say what are your question is, what are his remedies?
Well, is there a compromise, or how does one bring that about? There's definite opposition as far as the
Well,
neighbors.
I
know it's not on their purview to.
I think, yeah, it's not, but, you know, I think that he has to think about where he is and where he's going. And yes, if there are compromises made, he can come in for a third variance. But, you know, the situation now is, as I think I see it, based upon what you've asked me to write and do, is that you just have to keep dealing with the issues that he presents to you. As everybody knows from the testimony, he certainly has a claim against his contractor. Of course, he says, well, geez, I got to spend more money. Understand, this court is not a court of spending money. If it costs him 5 cents or $50 million, that's of no moment to you. You should not consider what it costs. It's not a consideration in a variance, okay? In fact, there's really been no testimony about hardship of the land. It's just, hey, I got put in the wrong place, the contractor screwed me. Okay, that's not your problem, that's his. That's between he and the contractor. And here, the kicker is that it appears that he had knowledge of this at the time he was constructing the fence. And it appears that these representations are pretty material to where it is and where we thought it was going to be located. So, when you say, my advice to him is to go back to his home builder, go see possibly a structural engineer. I don't have any other solutions for him.
Why can't you just?
As a lawyer, I would seek out a lawyer and get and this is really out there, get the general that was there to work with the people, the neighbors, and come before us for a third variance.
Why couldn't you just move that fence back to the brick of your home?
Well, the area where it's out there is the best part of the yard. Up further, and that's just all rock and bushes. Well, you know, I had a truck just.
Can you step up to the microphone?
Yes, sir. The yard's all in disarray right now because the neighbor came up there with his truck right before we had the fence installed, and it's just nothing but all rock and torn bushes and everything. But the only usable part is right down there toward the road anyway. The rest of that's really just keep the kids in so they can't go out, and the pets.
Okay.
So
Just
if I move it back, the whole fence is pretty much useless. If I move it back a couple sections, it's just, there's no room. And that's the only level ground that's, you know, has a little bit of width to it. The other part's kind of up on the hill on purpose to keep it up for privacy on the south side.
Okay, are you aware of what has taken place this evening?
Pardon?
Are you aware of what has taken place this evening? with
You
the
haven't
board?
taken the second vote.
Yeah,
So I think I'm getting my whole area, my fence compromised pretty drastically if it gets moved back, just because they don't like the way it looks. There's,
Okay.
I mean, I don't see where there's a safety issue. I mean, they're 50 foot away from the stop sign. I just don't understand that. They don't stop at it anyway, so. The fence is not in in any way an obstruction of the stop sign. It's just, that's my opinion, obviously, but, you know, if you go out there and look at it, you'll see what I mean.
Well, the stop sign is not the issue, it's the fence.
Yeah, but they're saying it's a safety issue because of the stop sign.
Well, I want everybody to understand, my motion doesn't have anything to do with the neighbors. It has to do with what took place in July and what is now being built. You, even if he was right on both, you can't you can't represent things in July and then build things that are substantially different than that in September. Whether they're right, wrong, or indifferent, stop signs or whatever. That's the point of this exercise.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor.
I believe there's a second.
I have second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
I think there's one more motion.
Yeah, I can't find it. Seeing nobody else coming forward, I will entertain one more motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.